What was the most foolish thing you did as a child? My parents didn't allow me to have a dog as a pet. Being clever, I decided if I stare at the sun for a long time, I'll go blind, and then they'll have to buy me a guide dog for sure. It did not work, but they purchased a dog for me, Altered. I intend to say that I did not become blind. Press the lighter. When it popped out, I took it and saw that it was red and hot. Decided to check its temperature. I stuck a finger in. I can relate. Same topic. My sister did the same thing, but instead of the thumb, she put her cheek. Even now, she still has a visible trace of it. Jumped over a skipping rope on roller skates. Broke my wrist. Sounds like a new Olympic sport. Locked myself in the freezer when we were playing hide and seek. I thought it was the perfect place to hide because no one will definitely look for me there. It's good that I made a mistake, otherwise my 5-year-old body would have been found frozen next to the turkey. I have a similar story. My friend worked in a restaurant and accidentally locked herself in the freezer. She panicked as expected. She said she began Googling how long it takes to freeze to death. Luckily, someone was close and opened the door for her after a few minutes. While she was narrating this story, I had a query. Why did not you simply phone the restaurant to inform them to let you in? She gazed at me, puzzled. I added, you mentioned being at Google, so I presumed you had a phone. Apparently, she didn't think to call the restaurant. She already had 20 kopecks, LOL. Grandpa was asleep on the couch, and for some dumb reason, I decided to take his cane and hit his legs as hard as I could. He was yelling. I stood beside him and wept as if I hadn't done anything wrong. What's wrong with me? Haha, now imagine yourself sleeping peacefully and here comes the person you love the most and hits you on the legs with a cane. Hey Grandpa, here's a reminder that your legs aren't working well. Lessons are over. I left school and saw my sister getting into the car and driving away. I shouted at her to stop and give me a lift home, but she didn't hear. While walking home, I saw her again and threw one of the textbooks into her car to make her stop. Smashed the windshield, she wasn't happy. It caught her attention. Did she give you a ride home? Made brother hit cactus. Don't recall age. Think 3 and 5. Remember discussing cactus equals pain. And I also said that I can touch a cactus in such a way that it doesn't prick. I quickly moved my hand right next to the cactus and pretended to touch it. My little brother watched with great astonishment as I touched the cactus. Suddenly something happened. He changed his face and looked puzzled at what was happening. In the next frame, he swings dramatically and hits the cactus as if it had wronged him in a previous life. For the next few seconds, we sat in astonishment. His hand appeared as if he had punched a porcupine. Then he looked at me like a traitor and started yelling. I felt terrible, but it made me laugh at how silly it all was. Once I grabbed a cactus to check if it hurts. It turned out it does. Then I tried to shake off the needles. They landed on my pants. I had to shout and wake my parents. Dad ordered to wake my older brother, who sleepily spent 20 minutes picking needles out of my pants. Honestly, I haven't even shown appreciation to him for it once. I'm laughing hysterically. Dad is like, no, we have another child who is able to do it for me. And continues to sleep. Cooked noodles in a metal pot in the microwave. Heresy, I had the same thing, though I wasn't a child. It happened 2 days ago. I was about 4, 5. My mom was talking on the phone with Grandma. She had one of those old wired home phones, and my mom was in a room far from the phone jack. So she took the phone with her. Honestly, I was just curious to see what would happen. It was something like a scientific experiment. I took scissors and cut the wire. I remember how she said something briefly, then started repeating, "Hello? Hello?" After she left the room and saw me with scissors in one hand and the wire end in the other. I was not particularly stupid. I thought other kids did things scarier. But at that moment I had an insight that I too am capable of doing very stupid things. Once, when I was a child, I felt a similar urge. I was about 5 years old, and I finally got hold of the scissors. I clearly remember how I looked at the couch and wondered what would happen if I cut it. It turns out that if you cut a sofa cushion with scissors, you're just cutting a sofa cushion. Understanding that I could get into trouble and that I wouldn't be able to explain my actions to my parents, I flipped the pillow over and put it back in its place. Parents had this couch for a long time, and years later, when I was around 12, they discovered evidence of my wrongdoing, and I had to feign surprise. Wow, the strangest thing is that they never searched for anything under this pillow and never turned it over in 7 years. By that time, probably so much junk had piled up there that you could buy a new sofa for that money. Took 6 AX deodorants, taped with duct tape, stabbed, set on fire, and ran away. It was near the grocery store. The explosion was huge. My friends and I scattered in all directions and watched what was happening from another street. The whole district police came to investigate this case. Up until now, I didn't even realize how close I was to death. Changed. As usual, my most liked comment is a story about how I do stupid things. Do not repeat this. Explosions create shrapnel. It will be funny if it turns out that you lived in Berlin, because that means we know each other. Once I stuck my fingers in the socket, and then again and again. It seems like I had some kind of fetish. Apparently, you couldn't resist it. He ignited our garage door when I was 9 years old. If it weren't for the neighbor, our house would have completely burned down. Once I set fire to the curtains in our basement, even though I knew what I was doing. I brought water in advance and all that, but my mom had a different opinion on this matter. Ask my teacher who needs to give money for her surprise gift. Once I hinted to my friend that his gift consists of 500 pieces. I don't even know how he figured out that they were puzzles. I wanted to taste the light and lick the light bulb. Due to burning my tongue, the taste of light is like dust. Threw a bomb in the toilet as a result. I was told that she would fade away, but I decided to make sure. She didn't go out, and we had to buy a new toilet. Once, as a child, I sprayed myself with a gas can. I screamed, ran around, knocking things down, until my mom came to me. In my defense, I thought it was perfume. I reset my father's laptop to factory settings, thinking that this way, I would gain full control over the nearest factory. A lot of data was lost that day. I had a Barbie doll whose hair reacted to heat and changed color depending on the temperature. My sister told me to use a freezer or a hair dryer to change the color faster. Once when I was alone, I wondered, why do I need a hair dryer when there's a microwave? And what color did her hair turn after you deployed nuclear weapons against her? Black. Put a banana peel in the middle of the road to see if the car slips, like in cartoons. I put my nose in a nut, couldn't pull it out, didn't tell parents, too embarrassing. Spent 3 weeks with him. This is one of numerous dumb kids stories. Thanks for listening, Altered. BTW, the cuts weren't deep and healed rapidly. Dad felt terrible, but nothing changed in our family. Soon they entrusted him to look after me again. Parents hid all dangerous items from me and we just passed this tale. What the fuck are you doing? Fried marshmallows on a gas stove. Maybe it doesn't sound so stupid, but I used a metal fork as a skewer and burned my lips so badly that they cracked and blistered. Called my mom Mando because someone at school said that's how I could get sweets from my mom. I was 6. Once in 7th grade, I called this classmate a pedic because other guys convinced me it was a funny and harmless nickname. I believed them.